Hi, my name is Maria. I've always been the girl who hides behind books, the nerd of the class, the goody-goody. I knew how to solve complex equations, but some things aren't so easy to see. I think that's why I didn't notice what was right in front of my eyes. And by the time I realized it, it was too late. That cry for help changed everything. Sometimes we think we have control over everything, but our blind spots can lead us down dangerous paths. That's exactly what happened to me. I almost lost a whole year of hard work because of one wrong choice. A choice that seemed simple. Let me tell you how it happened. I was the girl no one looked at twice. But that never bothered me. I had my studies, and that was enough for me. But one day, everything changed. Who's responsible for that? Lucas, of course. Because there's always a Lucas in every story. The boy who shines in a way that makes everyone around him fade. I never imagined he even knew my name, let alone that he would one day come to me. It felt strange, like a "this can't be happening" moment. But it was also exciting. After all, for the first time, someone was seeing me. Or at least, that's what I thought. The truth is, he did see me. "Hey, are you Maria, the girl who's always spot on with math?" He said that with a smile, the kind of smile you see in movies where everything seems more casual than it actually is. So, I'm totally lost with this homework. And I've been having a lot of practice for the championship. Do you think you could give me a hand? I hesitated for a second, but who would refuse to help someone so popular? "Oh, sure. It's not that hard," I said, trying to sound confident. "I can show you the way. Once you get the hang of it, it gets easier." "Really? What a relief. I knew I could count on you." He gave a short laugh, the kind that makes you feel like you've done something important. "But, hey, if I don't get it right off the bat, well, you might have to save me from failing." "No pressure, okay?" And that's how it started. A simple request for help, nothing too big, and I accepted. Of course I did. Why wouldn't I? He needed me, or at least it seemed like he did. And for the first time, someone noticed me. Little did I know that smile held something more. Maybe the irony of being noticed is that when it finally happens, you don't see the danger that comes with it. I should have felt that typical unease, that small voice saying, "Something's wrong here." But no, I was just dazzled. Because when the most popular boy in school looks you in the eye and asks your name, it's easy to ignore the feeling that you've just stepped into a minefield. After that day in the library, Lucas became a sort of habit. At first, it was just practical things. "I need help with this equation, can you explain it again?" But suddenly, the math questions started blending with things like, "Have you ever noticed that everyone here pretends to be happier than they really are?" And that's how, without realizing it, we moved from numbers to coffee in the cafeteria and conversations about life. I was fascinated, not by the equations, but by the way he talked, as if we were in a book only the two of us understood. And that's when everything started getting confusing. He told me about his dreams, his problems, and I began to believe that, somehow, he trusted me in a way he never trusted anyone else. It wasn't just the popular guy asking for help, it was Lucas, the guy who, apparently, needed me for something more. I convinced myself that he saw me differently. I came home, throwing my backpack in the corner, as if I wanted to leave the entire day there. The muffled sound of a pan coming from the kitchen told me my mom was making dinner. I knew she would call me to eat any minute, but all I wanted was to lock myself in my room, lie on my bed, and try to figure out if Lucas' smile in the library was as genuine as it seemed. "Maria?" My mom's voice came from the kitchen, as if she knew exactly the right moment to catch me off guard. "You've been hanging out with that boy, Lucas, a lot." "It's fine, I'm just worried." "Worried? Why?" I walked into the kitchen, already sounding defensive. I knew where this was going, and I didn't want to have this conversation right now. "Mom, he's nice. We're just studying. He needs help, and I'm good at it. There's nothing wrong. She looked at me with that expression that mixes love and wisdom, the kind of look only mothers have. I just don't want you to get hurt. Sometimes, people come close for reasons that aren't always what we think. I know you worry, but you don't know him like I do, I shot back, crossing my arms. Why do you always imagine the worst? He just needs help. I'm helping. She sighed, giving a small, sad smile. I just want you to be careful. Things aren't always what they seem. That's all. I rolled my eyes, trying to ignore the tightness in my chest those words caused. I knew she was just being a mom, but deep down, part of me didn't want to believe she could be right. Not now. It was that afternoon, sitting in the cafeteria, that something inside me started feeling more uncomfortable. Lucas slumped into the chair across from me, his face covered in a kind of desperation I hadn't seen before. He sighed, long and heavy, as if life was sinking. Maria, I'm screwed, he started, looking at the table. I have this huge project to deliver, and with practices. I just can't manage. If I don't do it, I'll fail. You know what that means, right? He looked at me, and for the first time, he seemed vulnerable. I really need your help. Only you can save me. I looked at my notebook, pretending I was still deciding, but deep down I already knew the answer. Lucas. This is a big project. You have to do your part. I don't know if I can do it all alone. He stared at me, leaning a little closer, with that soft voice that always disarmed me. I know it's a lot to ask. I hate putting you in this situation. He gave a half smile, the kind that makes you feel like you're the only person in the world. But you're the smartest person I know. If anyone can help me, it's you. And really, after we finish, we can go out to celebrate. Just the two of us, what do you think? That promise of just the two of us seemed to shine in my mind for a few seconds. He didn't need to be direct or use big words. He knew exactly what to say to make me feel like I was important. Like I was essential. And in that moment, I wanted to believe it. The next day at school, Barbara came up to me, fidgeting with her juice straw, as if she was about to say something that weighed on her shoulders. Maria, can I ask you something, delicate, she said, without looking directly at me. Sure, I replied, already feeling the unease in the air. Have you thought about what could happen if the teachers find out that? Well, you did all of Lucas's work? She finally looked at me, her eyes full of concern. I slowly closed the book and stared at her, trying not to show my discomfort. What are you talking about? I'm just helping him. It's not like it's something wrong. Maria, you're not just helping. You did all the work for him. Her voice was gentle, but the words were sharp. If the teachers find out, they'll call it cheating. And you know what happens to cheaters, right? They don't just lose points. You could lose your scholarship. The one you're so close to getting. Those words hit like a punch to the gut. I opened my mouth to respond, but nothing came out. I hadn't thought about that, I mumbled, trying to push away the rising feeling of panic. Do you really think they'd do that? I was just helping a friend. Barbara sighed, looking at me with that way only true friends have. They won't see it that way, Maria. They don't care if he's your friend or not. The rules are clear, and you know that. And you've worked so hard, are you going to throw it all away because of Lucas? Just think about it. The weeks that followed were a blur of pages and pressure. I was always surrounded by books, but for the first time in my life, they weren't just mine. The piles growing around me were filled with notes that didn't belong to my world, they were Lucas's. Sometimes I spent hours at night trying to balance my own studies with his project, the words blending together in my head until I couldn't tell what was mine and what was his anymore. Time seemed to dissolve. My nights stretched late, my eyes heavy and my mind always on the edge of exhaustion. I isolated myself in my room while my parents, outside, lived in the world I no longer had time to keep up with. The muffled sound of the TV downstairs, the smell of dinner I always missed, and the invitations from friends I left unanswered. Not today, I have too much work, I always said, not realizing how much I was losing of myself. Deep down, something bothered me. I knew I was compromising my own studies for someone who, deep down, didn't care. But I convinced myself that it was okay. I convinced myself that, in the end, all this would have a purpose. I thought, if he needs me, it must be worth it, right? That's what kept me going, the hope that the sacrifice was somehow justified. Lucas stood up from his chair with the confidence of someone who already knows the outcome before it even begins. I watched from afar, at the back of the room, with a mix of nerves and pride. He adjusted the microphone, gave that easy smile that made everyone pay attention, and started the presentation as if he was born for it. And he was flawless. Every word came out perfectly. He navigated through the slides I had spent entire nights creating, as if they were his own. He explained every detail with precision, and I stood there, waiting for the moment when he'd look to the back of the room, thank me, or at least mention my name. But that look never came. My name never came. Well, guys, I worked hard on this project. It was tough balancing it with practices, but I dedicated myself and did my best. I hope you like it. His words floated through the room, accompanied by the applause of classmates and the satisfied smile of the teacher. Beyond the lie, the lack of gratitude. Every clap felt like a knife. At the end, he left, hugged by his friends, planning another weekend of partying. I overheard some classmates commenting on how he managed to do the work despite partying all weekend. He walked out of the room and passed me as if he didn't even know me. I left class quickly and ran home. My mind was in shock, my feelings tangled. Then I couldn't hold it anymore. When I got home, I cried like never before. I knew my mom had been right all along. She always knew. And I didn't want to listen. I was so blinded by Lucas's attention that I ignored the obvious signs. I sat with my mom and poured everything out. She listened patiently and understandingly. She didn't judge me but made it clear that I needed to learn something from this. She told me that the most important thing was to regain control of my life. That no one can make us feel inferior without our consent. I spent the night thinking about everything. The next day, walking through the school hallway, I heard Lucas's voice behind me, casual as ever. "Hey, Maria," he said, approaching with that smile that once made me feel special. "It's been a while since we talked, huh?" I was thinking, maybe we could meet up after class? I've got a new project to work on and, with practices and all, it's hard to keep up. What do you think? I slowly closed my locker, not turning to face him. For a second, the world seemed to go silent, and I felt the anger burning in the pit of my stomach. I took a deep breath before speaking, but when the words came out, they were sharp. "No, Lucas. You don't need my help. You never did." His smile faltered, but he quickly recovered, as always. "What? Maria, why are you talking like this? I thought we were friends. You helped me before, what changed?" I finally turned to face him, and for the first time, I saw the Lucas everyone else saw. "What changed?" I repeated, crossing my arms, trying to keep my voice steady. I opened my eyes, "Lucas. You never wanted to be my friend. You just wanted to take advantage of me, like you do with everyone else." "Maria, calm down. I think you're overreacting. Let's talk, like adults, okay? No drama." I laughed, but it was a bitter laugh. "Talk? You can fool everyone, but with me, it's over. And you know what? Good luck finding someone else to do your dirty work. Lucas stood there, speechless. And me? I walked away, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. For the first time, the words I had kept inside for so long finally came out. And to be honest, they were everything I needed. It didn't take long after the presentation for everything to start falling apart. Lucas's downfall didn't come in a big dramatic collapse, but in small pieces, like a house of cards that had been built for too long. The first blow? The physics test. I heard about it in the hallways. Everyone did. Lucas was caught receiving answers during the test, something so obvious that even he couldn't escape it. The teacher caught him in the act, the papers passing from one hand to another like a poorly kept secret. The other guy tried to cover for him, but there wasn't much they could do. The teachers, who once praised his potential, started looking at him with caution, as if waiting for the next mistake. His classmates began distancing themselves too. I overheard them whispering in the courtyard, their conversations full of distrust. Man, he fooled everyone. And we didn't even notice, I heard one of his friends say. The guy just manipulated everyone, and we fell for it like idiots. I watched from a distance. He still walked through the hallways, but now alone, as if the space around him was bigger, emptier. Without his tricks, the perfect guy was turning out to be quite ordinary, even mediocre. And those who once followed him now avoided him. And as strange as it was, I didn't feel anger or satisfaction. Just a sense of relief. I watched from afar, finally out of Lucas's orbit, finally free. If I learned anything from all this mess, it's that sometimes the real danger lies in the small compromises we make of ourselves along the way. Lucas tried to take a shortcut, and he paid the price. We can and should ask for help, but exploiting others is a big mistake, and allowing yourself to be exploited is too. My name is Maria, and today I know there are no shortcuts for those who truly want to achieve. The price of our integrity is the one thing that's never worth bargaining. If you've been through something similar or know someone who needs to hear this story, subscribe to the channel and share this video. And of course, don't forget to leave a like and turn on the notifications to catch more stories that can help you see what truly matters.
Bye!